Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to try to answer a question that few laymen may ask, and that is why so many illusionists they keep using this specific set of cards for most of their routines, and those are the aces, as you can see. Well, I believe it's because not only they are easy to visualize but also to remember and reflect the value of the cards being used. Let me give you a quick explanation of what I'm talking about. I'm going to put the aces in the side for a moment, and I'm going to give it a quick cut somewhere in the center of the deck. So we can use only 3 aces for these demonstration purposes. We have a random card, in this case the queen. Now I'm going to use the value, not the suit, by reflecting and putting the aces face to face with any of the cards. By doing that gesture, all the aces becomes the queen, as you can see. Very interesting principle. Now I'm going to try that one more time. Now we have the 10, okay? By doing the same gesture face to face, now all the aces becomes the 10. Not bad at all. Well, I'm gonna try that one last time, okay? So before, I'm gonna give it a quick shuffle, so it is completely a random card. In this case we have the 2, okay? And a small number, easy to remember at least. I'm gonna put it right here. Now one time a person asked what happened instead of using the face, we use the backs. Well, by doing the same gesture it should work, right? Yep, it did work. I have 1, 2, and 3 aces. Well, 3 backs basically. Okay, so I have 1, 2, and 3. Now we're gonna try one more time. As you can see, the 3 cards. Now using the face. Watch. By doing the same gesture face to face, now all the aces becomes the 2s. The same principle, the same key. Now, as I said, they not only have the capacity to reflect, but also to remember the value. Not only that, they remember it in the exact same sequence that we used them. You may be wondering now, well, what is going to happen now with the aces, and we'll no longer have those aces in the deck of playing cards. Well, I tried this and it works. All we need to do is just shuffle it, as we did in the beginning, and by shaking, as we did it before as well, all the aces go back to normal. And at this point, the spectator can examine the whole deck of playing cards. Hello everyone, so right now I'm going to start explaining the tutorial of this great effect. I'm going to explain it 2 times. The first time is just going to be right away without getting into a lot of details. The second time is going to get into a lot of details and maybe other variations that you can get around it. This is going to be a long tutorial, but I believe this is going to be worth it, so that's going to be up to you. You want to watch it all the way through. But this is going to be the setup. I'm not going to explain it right now, just look at it and pause the video. So I'm just going to prepare and I will explain that later on. I have a breather crimp in this card. This is an indifferent card. It doesn't have to be this card. You can use any other card as you want. This one goes face up, and as you watch it in the video, I have the 2s, the 10, the queen, and in the same color sequence. Okay, I will explain later on why. But this is going to be the center setup, or the setup from the center of the deck, so you can have 2 natural breaks. It's not natural break, but I explain those issues later on. This is going to be the setup from the top, and then the aces. However, you have the setup from the top, which I have 2 10s and 2 queens. Okay, and I'm going to explain all that in the second part. Then the aces, 3 aces face up. Also, I will explain why. Now, I did this production. Now, you can use any other ace production you like. This one is an easy one, and it gets right into the point, because this is going to be the same way I'm going to produce them at the end. The next 4 cards, okay, as you can see, this one is bended up, so I can get a pinky break. Some magicians, they do a pinky count, but to me, I don't really enjoy doing pinky count, so I just push this corner and it's going to open it opposite one. Anyway, I press over here in the process that I'm speaking. I just show the aces, and then I did a switch. I switched these 4 cards for these 4 aces. Okay, so you can just go to this video tutorial and see the way I did it. But as you can see, I already have these 4 cards and 1 ace. Okay, when I point into this card like this, I do a pinky break. Okay. So I point, I already push the card, but I don't push it sideways when my hand on my wrist is this way. I push the card, the ace, to catch a pinky break when the wrist is tilted. In the same process, I'm pointing over here, the 4 aces, and catching a pinky break. Okay, so it looks more convincing, I guess. I square, bring the hand over here, and when I'm squaring from the long side like this, I'm gonna catch this ace and put it right over. At this point I have 5 cards, and then the next thing I need to do is relax, and you have 2 natural breaks, one created by the face-up card and the other one created by the CRIMP, which is the indifferent card. When you do this breather CRIMP, do it with the card face down. If you don't know how to do a breather CRIMP, just go to the video footnote. However, you can, I will explain the variations in the second part anyway. I need to cut in half right on the card that it has the breather CRIMP. And this is the top part of the deck, and this is the center part of the deck. There is a variation that other magicians use, but I like this one better. It goes right to the point and it's easier and faster. And I need to catch these 5 cards and move on face down. Get rid of one of the aces, so you're gonna have this situation right now. Take the card that is in the center, okay, and just do the gesture as I already did it in the performance, and that's it. The single card goes at the bottom, and this pile of 4 cards go all the way on top. Alright, so that's the situation. You need to do an ELMSLEY count. I already have a tutorial for an ELMSLEY count. If you don't know how to do it, just go to the video footnote. The purpose of the ELMSLEY count is just reusing the card all the way on top. Okay, so I count 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the repeated card, the one that I reusing. So with this one, I catch the top 2 cards, flip them over, and put them right below here. Okay, you have to be careful not to spread them. So sometimes I try to keep this pile bevel. Okay, so by pushing over here, it's gonna lift up over here, this end over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put them right below, and I have 3 cards in which I need to invert the sequence one by one. Okay, so I'm ready for our next ELMSLEY count. Take the next card. Watch out, keep an eye on this face-up card. Okay, and proceed to the same steps as we did it before. It is a quite easy routine, to be honest. Then I just do the ELMSLEY count. I have to reuse the top card. That's why I use the sequence setup, the color sequence setup. Every time I'm doing a count, doesn't matter which count, I'm always catching a pinky break on the last 2 cards. Every single time. That's important. Here you can just flip them over, okay, and put them right below. But you have to put the top 2 cards right there. So I only have 2 cards left. I have to count 1, 2, and 3. It seems like I have 3, but I only have 2. So I reuse the card all the way on top. 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Okay, I don't want to get into a lot of explanations. Then I'm doing an overhand shuffle. I'm actually shuffling everything except that I'm retaining just the top 3 cards. I'm gonna do it once again with a card face up, so you can see. I'm just returning the card all the way on top. Anyway, when I show these 2, you do any kind of flourish you prefer, because I need to push, because I have a natural break over here. When I'm pushing over here in this corner, it's gonna split the opposite one. So I can catch a pinky break. Right there is way easier this way. You can distract the spectator if you need time. You can spin the card. You can do it this way you want. But once I distract the spectator, I try to drag these 2 cards towards me. So I can push the top 3 cards just a little bit, not that much, because the pinky break is holding the whole deck except the top 3 cards, because the pinky break is right below the top 3 cards. So when I push with a thumb, the middle finger is right here to bend the cards this way, as you can see. I'm just exaggerating, but you can hold them up because you have a situation when you have them back to back and face to face. So that's gonna create a huge gap over here. You just leave them like that. You need to create some tension. So I try to push over here. You don't want to push it with a thumb. You can just push it with a middle finger, okay? But make sure they don't see this end, the spectator. You can relax the hand. When you distract the spectator by dragging these 2 cards towards you just a little bit, you catch these 3 cards and push down, so you're gonna lift up. So you can introduce these 3 cards immediately without looking too suspicious right below. Leave this bottom pack right in the side, and just use the same argument. So whatever argument you want to use, as I did it in the performance. Show the bottom. This is the situation, okay? Just pause the video. And I just take the bottom card out. Sometimes when you drag it out, be careful not to expose the second card from the bottom. So just keep a nice grip over here, okay? So just drag the bottom card out and do the same gesture as you are reflecting. Now, this is kind of tricky the way I did it in the performance, because it's not that it is difficult, it is quite easy, but I use so many steps that sometimes I think I'm complicating myself. I did the ORION count. This is the reverse ORION count, okay? The reason I'm calling it the reverse ORION count, just go to this video footnote once again to do or to learn how to do this count, which is quite easy. Because when I show this card, I spin it over, then I do the reverse ORION count. Anyway, then, like I say, I always keep a pinky break right below the top 2 cards, which is, I always keep them as 1, okay? And I have these 2 cards below. Then I did this gesture. I show the top and then the bottom. But this one, in this case, I show the top and then the top, this way. And by combining those 2, it may look more confused. So at this point, I'm just introducing my thumb right in the middle, 2 cards on top, 2 cards on the bottom. And with this part of the finger, I'm just pushing the top 2 cards towards the side, or pulling the 2 bottom cards towards this hand. So I can hold these top 2 cards as 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this face-up card returns back to the bottom. Then I need to reverse the card all the way at the bottom. So the way magicians do it, well, I will explain that in the second part. The way I did it is by reversing the card. I already have a tutorial how to conceal this move and everything, how to make it more convincing and more natural. But go to the video footnote. I'm gonna post them in the right sequence that I'm explaining this tutorial. Anyway, you have to reverse the card all the way to the bottom. And because I already have a thumb break, I just show the top 2 cards as 1, then 2, and 3. Okay, and square everything. This is the situation right now. Okay, so I have the 2 over here face down. Then I'm gonna do it once again, as I did it the first 2 times. I'm gonna do the reflections. You can see the single card goes at the bottom and the whole pack goes on top. Then do the ELMSLEY count once again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like I mentioned before, every time I do a count, I always keep a pinky break on the last 2 cards and I count them. So then I take the top 2 cards from the top to the bottom, right there, and this is the situation. I keep the cards of each and every value in that same sequence. That's a nice effect. Then put them on top. This is the top packet. This is the packet in the center of the deck. Then you have to peel the top 3 cards, then do or catch a pinky break right below the top 3 cards, which is the aces. The aces remain on the top of the deck. So I push over here and it's gonna give me a break. Some illusionists or magicians, they do a pinky count. I don't like pinky counts, so that's why I always try to keep foldings and breather crimps instead of me doing counts. And it works faster and better to me. So the issue is they don't preserve the foldings for a long time, depending on the conditions of the cards. For me to put these 3 cards back on top is because I'm gonna drag the ace towards me. So that's more justifiable why I'm getting rid of these 3 cards, to drag the ace. But in reality, I put them over here because I need to drag that 6 cards, 3 cards face down, which is the aces, and 3 cards face up. 6 cards in total, put them on top of the ace, take 7 cards and flip them over. so you can end up with the same production you did at the beginning of the performance. I did this false shuffle of these false cuts, but you want to know how to do this one specifically, just go to the video full note again. And then I did production. You want to learn how to do this production again, go to the video full note. Alright, well, now I'm going to explain each and every steps in this second tutorial, which is going to be a bit longer. Okay, so we'll see. This is the sequence. I use the tools, and then I have over here. Now let me separate them so you can see what I was trying to do and why I did that. Okay, this is the card with a breather crimp, and I'm gonna tell you why I keep this the queen all the way on top, and the color sequence as well. That's very important. Some magicians, they probably don't pay attention to the color sequence. I do. So like I said before, just do a breather crimp when you take a different card. The reason, these tools, this when I try to fold it or pronounce the folding, natural foldings, and the one, because you have an odd number of cards, you will always end up with a single card with a different color. That card of a different color goes in the middle, sandwiched between the other ones, but I'm just going to leave it face down. Then a red 10 and a red queen. Now it can be black, red, and black queen and black 10, if that's what you prefer. But because when I pull them out, the queens and the 10s, or it can be 9s, it's better to use big numbers, one picture card and one low number, which is the 2. So every time you do the reflections, those 3 different values, they can be as different as possible, because picture cards, they all looks alike to the audience maybe. Well, and then the reason I'm using this, let me show you over here, let me put them all together so you probably understand better what I'm talking about. So as you can see over here, you can use, like I said, 2 blacks and 1 red, but if that's the case, then it has to be the same case with the queens, with the 10s and the queens. In the 2s, doesn't matter, it can be 2 black, 1 red, or 2 red, 1 black. Okay, but over here in the picture card, in the high value or high number, it's better that they are the same sequence, in color sequence. So again, the different color goes in the middle. Because I have 2 reds, I'm gonna put 1 red over here and 1 red over here. Okay, the picture card, I always keep it on top because I'm already used to it. You can inverse the sequence, doesn't matter. Okay, so because these ones, the 10 and the red queen, they are over here on top, I'm gonna put them over here in the center of this pack of 4. And because I have the queen all the way on top, the queen is going to end up all the way at the bottom. And because the 10 is second from the top, the 10 is going to be the first from the top. So the first ones are going to end up at the last, and the last are going to end up at the beginning. So they pretty much invert the sequence in the value that I'm using. Okay, this is going to be the how can I say, the setup from the center of the deck. The indifferent card with a breather crimp, with a card face down. Then I'm gonna put them somewhere in the middle of the deck. Okay, so at this point you have 2 breaks. Okay, the natural break because of the face-up card, which is the 2, and the breather crimp. And when I did it with one hand over here, you can see I have 2 breaks. Maybe not from the camera, but when you do it, you will see you have 2 breaks. Just relaxing because I have the deck towards me, at least this side of the deck towards me. I can see what is the indifferent card by relaxing, really minimum. You don't have to open a lot, just minimize the opening, the gap. And by relaxing, once you have the indifferent card right there, just spin it, split them, and do this. This is the center of the deck, this is the top of the deck. Okay, but I get to that later on. Okay, this is the setup from the top, and then the aces. Now the way I did it in the performance, notice I use this method. Oh, one thing I forgot. This, I'm using this setup from the top. The card all the way at the bottom, I just fold it up. So when I push over here, it's gonna split open on the opposite corner. Okay, that's a natural break right there by pushing over here. Now, you can do a pinky count. That's gonna be up to you. Then over here, I need to do the ace production like I mentioned before. Once I have the pinky break right here below the top 4 cards, I square everything. This is going to be the variation, not the way I did it in the performance. I pick up 8 cards, the top 4 aces and the top setup. So the way I used to do it, I move them down, I flip them over right below, but I need to keep the thumb break. So when I show them this way, the middle over here, the middle finger over here, the thumb over here. So they conceal the huge gap created by the thumb, this thumb. Okay, so move them next card in a square and show the bottom card. Do the same with a third card, show, and because I'm already showing the third card, by the time I'm gonna reach the last card, the last ace, I'm gonna drop these 3 aces right over here in the process of dragging the next card. So the 3 aces are already over here. The next ace goes right below, and do the same gesture. Flip it over and put the 5 cards right there. Okay, that's gonna be one of the several other ways you can switch the cards. Because the switch that I used, it may or may not be the most convincing. Well, it is convincing. What I'm saying is may not be very appropriate for large audience, okay, for 360 degrees performance. Now, the old way I used to do it, it was by catching the pinky break right below the top 4 cards, the upper setup. Then I used to pick up 8 cards, as you can see, the aces and the setup. Then I catch drag the top ace and flip it right below and show it this way. Okay, and then I do it with the first 3 aces. Notice the thumb is not all the way in the center, but at the end, in one of the ends. So when I show it, this corner is kind of close, or as close as possible. You have to flip it over kind of fast so you don't flash over here the huge gap caused by the thumb. And then when you show the last ace, the third ace, you drop them in the process of dragging the last one. So I already dropped 3 aces over here, and then show the last one, the last ace. Now the reason I don't like doing that is because, let me go back one step, the 4 cards, the top setup, and the 4 aces. I like to do it instead this way, by showing the aces like this, so the middle finger covers over here and the thumb over here the other side, this huge gap. And then do the same for 3 aces, the first 3 aces, just like so. Then the last one, again drop them and drag the last ace and flip them over and leave the 5 cards right there, and the aces remain all the way on top. You can do either switch, whatever you like the most. Then I cut in half by relaxing, like I mentioned before. You can see the key card, the 7 of hearts, the card with a crimp. I can flip it over, and then this is the top pack and the bottom packet. So you just proceed to the same steps that I already mentioned before in the first part of this tutorial. You do the gesture. There is nothing new to talk about it, but because this card is the card from the upper setup, the top setup, it was bended the opposite way to catch the pinky break, and because of it I do have a huge gap if I just take the top 2 cards as one. If I just flip them over and then put it down here, you may flash the huge gap. So instead I just catch them from the center and flip them over and put it right below. at a decent speed, so it doesn't look too suspicious, you know. And then you're into this situation, and just reverse the sequence one by one. There is nothing fancy over here. Do the same, as I already explained, and then ELMSLEY count. This is the situation. The only in last queen is right there in the center. Do 1, 2, 3, and ELMSLEY count. Okay, as I already explained in the other video. Just go to the video footnote, and here, if you want, you can just flip the double over, take the top 2 cards and put them right here. So I only have 2 cards left. Then reverse. Well, I had to reuse the first card. I try not to tell the audience, well, I only have 3 cards left, because otherwise they will start paying more attention over here. I don't want the audience to really pay too much attention, but at least they can perceive I'm counting 3, or at least to keep the same sequence as I did it before, you know. Over here, I have this situation, the 2s. I'm gonna leave this card face up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just catching or holding a break with the index finger by doing the overhand shuffle. As you can see, I keep a gap. I'm exaggerating so you can see the gap. And I'm just bringing the top section back on top. Obviously, by keeping a nice rhythm, they're not supposed to notice. Now, the next step is not just push the top card like that, because you may end up flashing the face up 2. Instead, just pick up the 2 this way, or this way from the top, from the front, I'm sorry. Then if you need, you know, a few more seconds, because for some reason it lost the memory from the opposite back-to-back bending. If it's hard for you to catch, you can just type to the spectator, or you can just do any flourish in case you need more time. Anyway, you have to keep the pinky break right below the top 2 cards. Well, on the top 3 cards now. And then peel off the top 3 cards, which is the 3 2s, this way. And because I'm holding the whole pack with a pinky, because I have the pinky break right below the top 3 2s, this is going to allow me the middle finger to push right here on the corner and bend it down, so you can create this tension, because you have a difficult situation over here with face to face and back to back. So you don't want to take these 3 cards and just put them right below this stack, because you may end up exposing the cards. So instead, you need to create some tension. Instead of peeling the top 3 cards like that, as I mentioned, you don't want to flash over here in the corner. You can just push over here with the middle finger, just a little bit, to create the tension, okay? But relax the hand. Don't show it straight like this, because the slightly less move to this side, you may end up exposing this huge gap and spread. You can just relax the hand, just flash the face, and then hold from the long side these 3 cards as one and push over here so it lifts the 3 cards, the 2 cards, they think there are 3, and put the 3 2s right under the square. Get rid of that pack, and then proceed to the same routine or explanation, whatever it was the situation. You can just use the same arguments as I used in the performance. Then when you peel off the bottom card, be careful not to peel up 2, because you may end up flashing the second card from the bottom. So just peel it off carefully and make pressure on the stack with a middle and thumb, okay? So only 1 card comes out. Then you do the same gesture with the cards back to back. And here is the situation where magicians do it and I do it. The way I did it, I think, is a little bit more convincing, but I'm going to show you the way illusionists, they oftentimes do in their performances. They just do the frustration count, which I already have a tutorial in case you want to do that. Just go to the video footnote. This is the situation, as you can see. So they just show the bottom card and take the top card. Then show the bottom card again, this other way, take the top card again. And then just flip the double, whatever flourish you want to do, be careful. And then again, you have to retain the break. on the top 2 cards, below the top 2 cards, or right in the center. And then you can reverse the sequence. Take the top 2 cards as 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's the situation. But you want to do it the way, as I already explained, I did the ORION count. Because I'm already used to do this gesture with the previous cards and turn this over, I end up with the stack reverse. So because of it, you don't have to do that, you can just leave it alone. Because I'm already used to the pattern, and I like better the way it looks by showing this and then flip it over. But that may be a bit more risky, so that's going to be up to you. Then I do the ORION count, but because I had to do a reverse ORION count, I place or remove the finger from this corner to this other corner. I already explained that in the tutorial for the ORION count. Just go to this video full. I do the reverse ORION count, going back and then go forward, and then start doing the count 1, 2, and the last 2 cards I keep the pinky break. I always keep the pinky break, whether it is for the ELMSLEY count or for the ORION count, doesn't matter, or the reverse count. Then I reverse the sequence, I take the top 2 cards again, as 1, 2, and 3, and again I already keep the pinky break below the top 2 cards. So I just pick up the top 2 cards because I kept the pinky break, and then I fill up the bottom card, which is face up. You had to flip it over. That's the way I did it in the performance, but the way most illusionists do, they do it this other way. I think that's a bit more obvious by doing this method, but that's going to be up to you. The way I did it, and I already have a tutorial for that revolution, or that spinning motion, is by flipping the stack and turn it over. But I already went through all that process and those finger move and grips to make it look more natural. Once you manage to flip over the bottom card, you want to do it the same way. I lift up the top 2 cards and then do this as an excuse to make the rhythm or the gesture looks more justifiable, more natural. This is the situation. Then I do the same gesture now with a card face up as reflection, you can see, and then just do the ELMSLEY count. Then take the top 2 cards in any way. You can just hold them from the long side or flip it over and then bring it down here. Okay, I have one of each. Then you can do any gesture you want. You can just turn it over and show the 3 cards appear in the same sequence that you use them. Then what is going to happen with the aces? The aces remain over here. This is the top packet, this is the bottom packet. You can just peel them off, so that's going to allow you to do a pinky count on the top 3 cards. Or I already have a natural break over here. That's going to allow me to do a pinky break easily on the top 3 cards. A square and put everything right there as an excuse because I'm going to drag the ace over here. So it's going to look more justifiable and more natural why I'm getting rid of these 3 cards. By dragging the ace, that looks more justifiable. Then take the whole stack of the 3 cards and 3 cards face up and face down. Okay, the 6 cards, put them on top of the ace, flip over the 7 cards, and that's it. You can do the same production you did in the beginning, as I did it in the beginning, by showing the aces. Okay, so that's a really easy performance, really fun to do. It's just that it has a lot of steps. Once you get it down, it's going to be a really fun performance to do, and I hope you like it.